Now, normally I only ever use this channel for uploading highlights that I rip from my stream, but every now and then World of Warships delivers a game that is so back and forth, it's never one-sided, that is just a complete and total joy to play through the entire thing that I felt like I should go ahead and make a little bit more of a high effort video on it, which isn't something I normally do with this channel, but it is something I do want to try to do more of, so I figure you might as well just do something. So what we have right now is the new ranked system on patch 9.12, and I am playing the Smolensk, and we got the south spawn of Mountain Range. So what we do with this game is my team splits 5 ships to C, 2 ships to B, which isn't necessarily a good thing, but it does ensure that you should be able to get cap control of one side, provided your team either pushes through and actually secures the cap or goes back the other way. Now, the first few minutes of this game in the Smolensk, I'm not going to do anything useful for the team at all. And that's pretty much a problem of the Smolensk itself. I didn't expect this many people to follow us to this cap, but one of the weaknesses of the Smolensk is that it's a very fragile ship. It does not push in well. I know it has the meme Citadel, but with 16 millimeters of armor, ships like that Petropavlovsk can rip you apart, and only 70 millimeters of Citadel protection, it doesn't really mean anything for him. So you do have to play a little bit safe with this boat and not really take any aggressive positions. So this side of the map isn't really for the Smolensk when you have this many ships. I would be better off in a kiting and defensive role. That's exactly what you see me do right here. I immediately kind of turn away because, again, you can't get caught bow in with the Smolensk. You gotta stay and hide. What we're really waiting for more than anything with this flank is for those battleships to get forward and to help us go ahead and push in through the cap. You notice the enemy destroyer, the Marceau, went in, speed boosted, and capped it immediately, which I think is a total waste because he's just wasting most of that consumable at the beginning of the game to give his team a few points that in 99% of games won't matter. So, as this game develops a little bit more, we'll get some of the enemy teams spotted. So we have a Slava over at A, and we have a Des Moines Patro and a Marceau for the enemy team over here at C. Now, I start opening up on the Patro, but since I am spotted, I do want to go ahead and get into hard cover. Again, that is not a ship that I win against, unless I am able to hide in my smoke screen, because I can really only ever farm a minimal amount of superstructure damage with high explosive off of him, and a small amount of fire damage. But since he is a cruiser, he takes reduced fire duration. It's just not typically worth it. So, again, what we just need to wait for is our battleships to push up, and we do have pushing battleships. We have a Kurfürst and a Kremlin. Now, while I don't consider the Kremlin particularly strong in random battles, ranked is a completely different environment that changes the game with WoWs. When there are no CVs, the ships like the GK and the Kremlin, those pushing brawling ships, actually get far stronger than they usually are in random battles, provided there's not too much Thunderer spam on the enemy team. Now, the enemy team does have a Thunderer, but he is... I guess he's kind of the potato in this match. You'll see more of him later. Well, not really, but you'll see him on the minimap, and I will talk about him. But he doesn't really play the Thunderer to his strengths at all. But we do have the advantage at this cap, the 5 of us here, and we do have to push it and take it. And so our Kremlin and in fact the Des Moines, which really surprised me when this game happened, both push into the cap. But that's perfect. It's exactly what they need to do, and they will go ahead and ensure that they are able to take the cap for us. The GK is flanking up the 10 line, which originally I thought he was just wasting his time. But it's actually going to be a very pivotal flank for this cap very soon, and it's actually going to be one of the biggest game winners for us. The guy was actually in my stream chat when this was going live, so I ended up talking to him, and basically, I hate to use the word command, but I did kind of tell him what to do. I guess it's just a little bit of, I don't know, how I play the game, because some people might not see things. And there's the Thunderer, sitting behind the island, hasn't been spotted all game, wondering what he's doing, haven't seen him shoot. There it goes, right there. But yeah. So, if you remember what I said earlier, Smolensk, not a pushing ship. So what am I doing here? Nothing. I am doing nothing at all. So, I'm going to go ahead and move over to the other side of the map and help out with the 2 ships on B. Again, there are only 2 of them there, so they can get quite easily overwhelmed, especially the Holland. Holland doesn't have smoke, so it's really not capable of defending itself from other destroyers very easily, so it is going to be on the defensive. And a Venezia. Venezia, not a well-concealed cruiser, so he needs to sit in the back as well a little bit. So I decide I need to go back and help them. I'm good at playing defense. And by the time I've gotten past this island, the cap's already been taken. That's not that big of a deal because we have every ability to get it back once I get over there. Every enemy ship in the game actually has been spotted except for the Somers. Though I know for a fact that the Somers is the one who capped the B flag, and so based off of that information, I also know that our Holland should actually be okay in fighting it. Now, I know I just said that the Holland isn't great at fighting other destroyers. There are exceptions. Low DPM destroyers like Somers, the Holland can quite easily fight up against. The issue with the Holland is more so that it can't conceal itself, whereas other DDs can. Now, as I'm traversing the map to get over to B, the enemy Marceau is basically plowing directly into me, so I am going to need to go ahead and take a smoke here. I don't want to shoot at him because he's a bit far away and he has French speed hacks, so I go ahead and start shooting at Slava, but then the Somers pops up for free, so I go ahead and shoot at him. This is typical Smolensk stuff. See an enemy destroyer, shoot an enemy destroyer, unless they're way too far away or they're French, because they travel at illegal levels of speed. I don't think anyone in this game has ever figured out how to hit French DDs reliably. I've done it with Russian destroyers, like the Khabarovsk and Tashkent and all those, the 50-knot ones, but the 55 knots, I can't do it. It's my one weakness, but he does get a little bit too close, and I do start shooting at him just because, don't be a little potato. Do focus destroyers if you get the opportunity, especially battleships. Battleships tend to not ever shoot at destroyers, but their hits can be quite massive. And then, for some reason, the one ship that should never pushed. And I don't know why, and that was the Slava. But our Venezia did take advantage of the fact that the Somers left, so he is recapping. Him and the Slav are going to have a fun little interaction later on. You'll definitely see when that one happens, but as I'm given the opportunity to farm, do what the Smolensk does best, and farm away. You notice I've been in this one smoke. I already have 70k for this game, which I didn't really feel like I did that much to the Petro. But Torps show up, and they're going to force me out. So, again, I look at the map right here, and I say to myself, what does the enemy team have that they can win? Well, there is no way in hell that they will be able to get onto sea. We have 4 ships there still. The Thunderer is, again, just not really playing the Thunderer well, and he's just sitting behind that island acting like he's a cruiser, so nothing's working out for him. And so what I think to myself is the only reasonable way the enemy team has to win this is by pushing on the backside of B, and so I need to continue to get myself over to B to defend that cap. And so once I dodge those torpedoes, that's exactly what I'm going to go ahead and do. Now, I believe we're actually about to lose the Des Moines, who is sitting on C, to a Marceau torpedo, if I remember correctly from this game. Yep, okay, that's exactly what happened. But still, our position on C is still very secure. The Somers would have to somehow push up to the top, basically where the Petro-Pavlos died, in order to have any impact on that cap. And the Des Moines and the Petro, the other Petro, because they have 2, aren't going to be able to do anything about that. So, looking at the map, you'll notice that the Slava is trying to get an angle on C, and the enemy Thunderer is still sitting behind that island. We have that GK there. But we may have 2 caps, but we are actually down on points still, just because the enemy team had the double caps for so long. So that GK guy who was still in my stream chat, I'm telling him on stream at this point to basically just go full-blown, full tilt after that Thunderer, because normally the Thunderer will beat every battleship in the game at a 1v1. It's usually not a competition. However, certain battleships, like the GK, have a pretty easy time with the Thunderer once they can get their secondaries involved. And that's really the one weakness of the Thunderer, is that it just falls apart up close to HE spam. And that's exactly what those secondaries are going to be. So I tell him to go kill the Thunderer, and that's exactly what he's going to do. And then the Somers pops up down south of the cap. And unfortunately, again, that one weakness of the Holland when fighting other destroyers is it can't conceal itself. So he shot at the Somers. The Somers went and hid, and the Slava was able to see the Holland, was able to kill him. Now, if I'm the Somers, getting behind the enemy team on the IJ line is the strongest possible position for me because it allows me to hard spot the Venezia and the Smolensk while maintaining a very credible torpedo threat. So I, in the Smolensk, am going to beeline it directly to that island cap to stop him. And now you go, oh, but I'm broadside to the Slava. But I'm also in a Smolensk, so there is absolutely no risk in my mind of being hurt. The Smolensk is such a thin ship that most battleships will just straight up overpen you if they have your broadside. The Slava more so than others because of the ridiculous shell speed that it has. So I farm a little bit of free damage on him and then move over to defend the position against the Somers so he can't get on our back line. If he was able to get on our back line, I'm 99% sure we would have just lost this game. Torpedoes from him would have hit me or the Venezia eventually, and then his just constant spotting would have let them know exactly how to play against us, and that wasn't something that we could ever have sustained. This wasn't really about killing him because he'd have to walk into his concealment range for me to kill him because I don't have radar, so it was just more about making sure he couldn't do anything against us. Now, GK is hard pushing the back end of that Thunderer. He came around the island and forced him away, which is exactly what he needs to do. So well done with the GK player compliments to him. He will kill that Thunderer real soon, and there are no threats to him except for maybe a Marceau, but we haven't seen him in quite a long time, and he is very low health. And then just being able to abuse this island right here is actually going to be nice. So we get free farm on the Des Moines. He does have the ability to push into our Venezia and it can threaten the cap. Again, the enemy team's only way to win this side is to get that cap. Now, the Marceau actually torps our Kremlin, which is not good, but the moment the Kremlin dies, we basically kill the Thunderer, so the points don't really shift that much. We are still down by 30, however, because we did lose the Holland, so even though we have the double cap, we still are unable to capitalize off it in any way. But my AP farm allowed the Venezia to get a nice chonky salvo into the Des Moines, so we are now swinging back ahead on points for once. And so I think there might be the possibility of us being able to win. But looking at the map, remember French destroyers, illegal levels of speed. C cap is completely exposed, and then he hops on it right then and there. The GK may have chased down the Thunderer, but it took him miles away from the cap. And the gearing, he came back after the Holland died, but once everybody on C died, there was nothing else to really hold that cap and defend it. So our gearing is racing back. We know the Marceau is on almost no HP, so if he's able to get there and fight him, we'll be able to kill him. And now we get to witness stuff that kind of made me facepalm a little, but it is the duel of Slava versus Venezia at point-blank range. Now, for those of you who are wondering, doesn't Venezia have torpedoes? It does, but I don't think he's able to use them because of the island on his left allowing him to turn. And the Slava had Kuznetsov, so I'm not able to farm his HP out in time. And they ram. It was just that was too much for me to handle. I was cracking up on that when that occurred. Looks like the gearing will get back to C and be able to recap it. We are still up on points, but the worst possible situation for me has just occurred. A Petropavlovsk is now capping in the middle of B, and I am in a Smolensk, and I must now charge the man down and kill him, or we lose the game. And what I said earlier, Smolensk does not do well at this, is exactly what I was saying. You're gonna see, I get ripped apart in this fight, because this ship it's too soft. Which is a good thing. I think it's overpowered. I hate this boat. Just a slight disclaimer, but it is very soft, especially against other cruisers. Now, gearing is recapping, so we're not going to be under a triple cap, which is great, because the points did just swing to the enemy team's favor, which is quite scary. And the Petropavlovsk is playing this fight as well as he possibly can. He's already excuse that. He is reversing, but he is using armor piercing. Now I probably would have used HE, but he actually does get pretty good hits on me with the AP. But some of these do, like that right there, 6K. That's insane, that angle to me. But as you can see, I'm not even able to damage him really. 600 damage, maybe a fire. Eventually, I actually switched to AP right now, just because there's nothing that my HE is doing, so I just gotta try to get in there. I think it's a pipe dream to try to pen his turrets. I believe they're like 300 millimeters thick, but my guns aren't gonna do anything in the small and secure. It's gonna be all about me being able to torp him. Now, the enemy Marceau actually gets clapped out by the gearing, which is great, and I go down as I make the death turn to get the torps, and I torp kill the Petro. So, now we're up on points, we're down the double cap, but the enemy team is actually just close enough that they will win by 4 seconds if we're not able to get the cap back in time. So, the man who killed the Marceau, hero in the gearing, has to take the second slowest destroyer at tier 10 and somehow get it into that cap. Now, if he runs into the Somers, he should be able to kill the Somers since the Somers is low. But he's not exactly doing too hot himself. So it's kind of a nail-biter at this situation. I say to myself he has enough time to get back, and I say this to my stream chat like, he'll get back easily. He does not get back easily, by the way. It's going to be way too close. But yeah, this was without a doubt one of the best ranked games I have played recently, and it just like the game can be so much fun in ranked if it wasn't for aircraft carriers and thunderer spam. But these are the types of games that make me play World of Warships. This is the reason I started playing the game, and I know that the game can be quite frustrating at times, but how it is when this happens, it's the best, and I would take these games all day long. Gearing gets in the cap when we are 4 points ahead, stopping the enemy double cap, so it's just 1 cap versus 1 cap, and we point them out right there at the end. Here are the end-game screen caps. I think my face cam might be on. I'm gonna have to steal these from my Twitch VOD afterwards, but well done to everyone in that game, except you, Thunder. Not sure what you were doing, but again, that was such a great game, and I loved every minute of it. I plan to make more commentaries in the future, guys. If you could hit me with a like or a dislike and a sub, greatly appreciated. Catch me live on Twitch, link down in the description, and I will talk to you all later. Out.